Hello, now we are going to see some useful features of Microsoft Word. I'll be using Word 2010. The first thing is a misconception. We think documents contain pages, but that's not true. Document by default contains sections and sections contain pages. We have never seen what is called as a section. Normally what happens is, if you look at the status bar in any document, what do you see? You see page 2 out of 4. There is no mention of a section. When you create a new document, Word creates a document and it creates a page. But what it actually does is it creates a section first. We don't see the section, so right click on the status bar. You will see that there is an option to show the section which is not active. So activate it. And now as you type more and more data, you will see which section the current thing belongs to. In this case now you can see the document is in section 1. By default, a new document means new section and new page. The issue is, because we have never manually created sections, all your documents are contained in section 1. Now that has a lot of side effects. For example, here is a document. Let's zoom out and see the document. I have many pages here. I have a table here. Very often we want broad tables like this to be on separate page. It's not going to work because nothing can be applied to a page layout, page landscape to you can see here. So what we really need is a new section for a page which contains the table. You do that. Instead of putting just a new page break, I want a new page and a new section break. So new page, for so we will add another section break here. Now this is section 2 onwards. Section 3. Now we have a separate section for the page containing the table. So now you can again go to page setup, click on landscape, and notice Word has understood that there are more than one sections. In such a case, settings are applied to a current section, which is this section. Now, while we are at this dialog, remember, although it is called page setup, actually it is a section setup dialog. All these settings, which include margin, paper, layout, can only be changed for a section, not for a page. So now that we have done all this, we will get a landscape page. That's how section works. That's one simple example of how sections are useful. Now let's take another example. Sometimes we have data like this. In the data we have text, and within the text somewhere we have some smaller text like this. This is like a list. This is not a table, it's just a flowing list. Now because the list has short text, this much space is wasted. So again, ideally we would like to make it into multiple columns. When you go and try to do that, it's not going to work, because even columns is a setting which applies to the entire section, not to the current area. So everything is in section 1, so entire document became 3 column. That's not what we want. So let's undo. If you want columns to be applied to a particular area, that area has to have its own section. So go to the beginning of the list enter a section break, but this time we don't want the page to break, we want the page to continue as it is. So in this case it's a continuous break. Notice section break did happen, but new page has not been added. So let's add one more continuous break. Now we have the list only within its own section called section 2. And now if you apply column, it's going to work exactly the way you want it. This is how continuous section breaks can be made. Now that we have understood it, let's move to the next one. Very often we require to create formal documents. Now what does a formal document contain? First page usually is a title page. The second page usually is a table of contents. And then third page onwards, actual content starts. Now, what do we really want here? We want very simple things. Assuming the actual content starts here, we want page numbers to start only from the actual content. We don't want page numbers on title and TOC. In addition, ideally, in a formal document, the first page should not show the page number, although it is page number 1, and the page number should be shown from page 2. So how do we get all this done? Like various things in page setup dialog, headers and footers also can be changed only if the section is different. Right now we have only one section for the entire document. So where should you add a new section? Between the place where the actual content starts and the things above it. So here we will add a new section. Now this actual content section, if you should write something in section 2 header, it should not go into section 1 because they are separate. You can see that they are separate. But when it comes to header footers, there is one more peculiar thing. There is a setting called same as previous. What does it do? If I type something here in page or section 2 header, it automatically copies to section 1 header. If I type something while I am in section 1 header, it is automatically copied to section 2 header. This is a good thing in most cases, but in this particular special case, we don't want a link between section 2 header and section 1 header. So to break the links, make sure you are in section 2 header and say remove the link to previous section. So now that same as previous setting is gone. Now we can add our page number here. I'm just increasing the font size for clarity. The problem now is it will add page number. Now here is a common problem. If you use top of page or bottom of page, it will replace whatever else is there in the header. So it's a good idea to put the current position. So it will add the page number. One part is achieved, the page number is not going into first few pages. But what is not yet done? Physically it is still page 3, so it is still showing you number 3. How do you change that? Go to page number, format page number and say start at. It automatically puts number 1 and click OK. So far so good. Only one problem left now. I don't want to show the page number physically on the first page. That is done easily. One checkbox, different first page. That's it. That is how you create a formal document. Now let's look at another important aspect of Word. I'm sure you have realized that we spend too much time in formatting and too little time we get to actually focus on the content. So here is a rule. Do not do manual formatting as far as possible. If you are doing some repetitive formatting like applying headings here, I have manually created the heading by making it red, Times New Roman, bold and so on. There is absolutely no need to do that. For this purpose, special heading styles have already been created by Word. What is a style? By default, everything has style called normal, which means the standard font, standard size, black color, left aligned, and the standard spacing. If you want something to be made to look like your title, while you type it, you know that this is a title. So as soon as you type it, click on heading 1. That's it. There is no need to select it, remember. And after that, you continue typing your document. I'm just putting some random text to make the document large as we type. So when you type more and more data, what are you going to do now? Let's say the next topic was scope of work. Again, this is a heading, so I'm going to apply heading 1. Now let's say under scope of work we had hardware and software. Same thing I'm doing. Now both of these are heading 2. So you can select both of them if you like and apply heading 2. When you press enter, another heading 2 is not going to come. It's smart enough to give you normal style so that you can actually type your content. So again, I'm going to put some dummy text. So let's say we did this. Every time, rather than clicking on heading style, you can actually use a shortcut. The shortcut is Control Alt 1. That will apply heading 1. So Control Alt 2 will apply heading 2 and so on. I'm applying and typing, applying the heading, typing, like that. The benefit of this feature is that your time required in manual formatting is completely eliminated, but that's not all. There are many other benefits. The biggest benefit is now Word is aware of where your topics are, where your subtopics are, and Word anyway does the page management. Word knows which topic is on which page. So first, simplest and most easy to get benefit is if you go now to references, you can instantly create a table of contents because Word can put 2 and 2 together. After making the table of contents, I am editing the document. I am moving the executive summary to second page by adding a page. When you edit the document, table of contents does not update automatically. You have to click there, click on update table, and in most cases say update entire table. So it will work as expected. Now generally table of contents is never going to be the first item in the table or the document. Table of contents is a hyperlink, so you can jump there, but once you jump from table of contents to somewhere else, table of content itself is lost. So it has limited benefit in terms of navigation. What we want is something like a table of contents, but it is always visible so that I can move from one place to another in the document very quickly. And this is important when you have large documents. So how do you do that? You go to View tab and choose Navigation pane. If you are using older version of Office, this option was earlier called Document Map. So when you open Navigation pane, it gives you a separate window on the left side and shows you all the topics and subtopics. To jump to a particular topic, simply click on it. It doesn't matter how far the page is, it will simply go there. This way you can navigate the document. Whether you are creating the document or you are reading the document, both parties benefit from this. Another benefit of using styles, and this is new in 2010, if someone says after having written the document that software should have come first and hardware should come later, you just drag drop and it will manage the show very easily. It doesn't matter how many pages were there under each heading. Another set of useful features you can discover by right clicking here. I'm not going to explain all, but remember, if I wanted to only show terms and conditions, copy and paste them, select heading and content, copy and paste. Similarly, if I wanted to print only this section, I could have just said print only this part. So this is good. Now in many formal documents we actually need numbering. Numbering means this should be number 1, 2, 2.1, 2.2 and so on. Very often we end up doing it manually, which takes time and it's still inaccurate. What do we do now? We know bullets, we know numbering, but there is a third set called multi-level numbering. Open that drop down. By default there is nothing. The other three which are shown are for paragraphs, so don't apply them. Any numbering which you see which has the word heading 1, heading 2, heading 3 is the one we want. In this case I will apply this one. So what happened? It applied the heading styles and applied the numbering. Sometimes it does go wrong. In this case, a paragraph which should have had normal style has been applied heading 1. So it's looking bad, so no problem. If there is a mistake, just click on normal. Now where is 1 gone? Sometimes this table of contents itself has heading 1 and it gets a little confused. So just go there and press backspace. That should take care of it. Now it's so smart that even if you reorder your topics, numbering is auto-adjusted. Now one more very nice benefit of using styles is you can actually make a PowerPoint presentation from the Word document without any manual work. There is a button called Send to PowerPoint. Unfortunately, that button has been removed from the menus in new version. You have to add it. So right click, choose Customize Quick Access Toolbar, open this drop down, go to All Commands, and now we are looking for a button called Send to PowerPoint. Don't type send, just type S and then press page down, page down, page down multiple times till you get the option called Send to PowerPoint. And then just click Add. Where does it get added? In this small little place. So now if you click on Send to PowerPoint, it's going to generate the PowerPoint presentation instantly. So what did it do? Executive summary became one slide. So scope of work became separate slide. So what is heading 1 becomes a new slide, and heading 2, 3, 4 become different level of bullets. This is very easy and effective, and very fast. We don't want the table of contents slide, so we can easily delete it. Now while we are here, let me show you one important issue. This formatting has been brought forward from Word. So if you apply a different template while you are in PowerPoint, that template may not work as expected. Why it may not work as expected? Because suppose you use a completely blue colored template, for example, like this. Notice what has happened. It did apply the template. If you have a fresh slide creating using the template, it has a nice white color so you can see it. But in these slides, this color came inherited from Word, and that's why the template did not override the color setting. Now this can become a problem. So what do you do? As soon as you send to PowerPoint from Word, select all the slides, go to Home and say Reset. Now it will reset the template correctly and the inherited formatting will be completely removed. So as you can see, styles have many benefits. So you should explore styles and use them all the time. All this looks nice, but even if you start using styles, it's going to help you only in future documents you create. What about the documents which you have already created and you may have manually formatted them, like this one? Ideally, you would like to convert this document also to use styles, but that means every time I have to open an old document, click on manually formatted, potentially heading kind of stuff, then click heading 1, then again do the same thing again and again for every heading 1, every heading 2, every heading 3. Now that's going to take a lot of time, but fortunately Microsoft has already thought of a better way for you. Right click on one of the heading 1s, which is manual, then go to styles and choose this option. select all text with similar formatting. Now it does select it across the document. On one click you can apply heading 1. Same thing you will have to do once for heading 2 and heading 3 if you have. So this is how old documents which were created using manual formatting can still benefit from styles in retrospect. Now one of the other irritating things about using Word is tables. Tables always create a lot of problems. So let's see one by one how to solve the problems. This is one of the most frustrating problems where somehow the edge of the table has gone beyond the page. Yes, there are many ways of solving it, but the fastest, simplest and most effective way of solving and getting this border in is to go to layout, go to auto fit and say auto fit to window. Window means the page border in this case. The same option was available in the right click as well under same auto fit. That's it. Another common problem is this wastage of space. This column requires less space, this requires more space, this requires less space. Don't try to manually reorder, that takes time and it's trial and error. Word is in a much better position to do it if you simply tell him auto fit to contents. Simple. Another common problem is uneven row height. This cell contains 2 sentences or 2 paragraphs. Others contain 1 paragraph. Obviously this is taller. Ideally we would like to make all of them taller. Don't do anything manual. Just click anywhere inside the table. Do not select anything. Go to layout and click on this small little button. What does it do? Distribute rows. That means it finds the tallest row and makes all other rows equally tall. Now we still have a problem. This has 2 sentences or paragraphs, so it's fitting into the cell. These are single paragraphs, so it's going on the top. Ideally we would like it to be vertically in the middle. In this case, select the table and click on this button. What does this do? Align center left. Center vertically and left horizontally. So one click will take care of this problem as well. Sometimes we have incorrect spacing. What does that mean? We have no gap between the cell border and the content. This can be very frustrating. So go to cell margins. Generally there will be a left and right margin, but in case it is not there, whatever remaining margin you see, you can put. This may require a little bit of trial and error, but you will get it. Now another common issue, which I am just going to demonstrate in the same table, is sometimes the same table cell breaks across pages. This is a normal occurrence, nothing to worry, but sometimes you don't like it. We want this to start from the next page. Most of us try to push it forcibly by pressing enter key. Please do not do that, because sooner or later it's going to create problems for you. So what do? In fact, there is a setting for a row which says, do you want to allow the row to break like this or you don't want to? Of course I can change this setting for one row, but that's not a good idea because currently this row is breaking. Tomorrow when the table grows or when the document is edited, other rows can also break. So it's a good idea to select the table. Then go to table properties either by right clicking or from the menu. Then go to row and then say do not allow row to break across pages. Actually it's rows because you have selected the entire table. And now it will automatically take care of it. Because all rows are now affected, any row which tries to break will be automatically managed. And remember, the table did come down. How did this particular heading, which is heading 1, follow it? Because heading 1 built in has a very good option, which is a paragraph option actually, which says keep with next. That means this is a heading, if the heading happens to be the last row on the previous page and the actual content is on the next page, it's not going to look nice. So this heading 1 knows that it has to move with the next item. That's why it came down. That's another benefit of styles. It's not just only font and color, it has many other attributes also. If you really want to look at what styles have, right click on a style, go to modify and read here. All the details of what the style defines are shown here. Now another major problem with tables is that if the table is very large and it is breaking across pages like this, the headers don't repeat. That's a very simple thing. Click on the first row, go to layout and make sure this button is active. Repeat header rows. Very often you notice that this button is not active or enabled at all. It's grayed out because your cursor is in the wrong place. Make sure your cursor is in the first row, then say repeat header row, and then it is Word's problem. It's going to automatically manage copying of the header across your table, across pages. Now there is one important thing. Sometimes we have a double layered header, double or triple layered. So in this case, suppose I have a double header row. What do? Select multiple rows provided the first row is a part of it, and then say repeat header rows. That's why there is a S or plural. It's not saying repeat header row. So if you did not notice that S, probably you would never have discovered that it can replicate multiple header rows as well. So far we have covered various problems of table. Let's see what else we can do. While editing tables, sometimes the data is short, sometimes it is long. Selecting short data to format is very easy, but selecting a long data, and especially if it's going across pages, see that this particular cell is going across multiple pages. That's going to be very difficult. But if you actually observe the mouse cursor, it's very easy. You will notice that the mouse cursor moves very quickly during your regular work on the screen. Notice this is a typical typing mouse cursor. This is a resize mouse cursor. This is a column mouse cursor. But between the type and resize, you will see that the cursor becomes tilted like this. While it is this way, one click will select the entire cell irrespective of how many pages the cell spreads across. So these are some of the common problems and their solutions based on table. Now let's look at how to create complex tables. Often we have to merge and split cells to create complex tables, which is time consuming and frustrating. Instead, what you do is start with a base table and then go to eraser. Eraser is like merge cell. So if you wanted to merge these cells, one option is to select these three, right click and merge, but it's boring. Go to eraser, and whatever the eraser touches, just drag it around, will be erased. So you select whatever you like, or rather whatever you don't want, and eraser will erase all of them instantly. It is possible that you will make a mistake, or after erasing is done, you may want to add some more stuff. In that case, you create or use the draw table button, and maybe you want to draw something complex like this. No issues. So this is very intelligent and allows you to create complex tables instantly. If the table is really complex, you can even start with an empty table. Go to insert, go to table, and then say draw table, and then you can draw the table absolutely from scratch if you like. You choose what you want. Now there is one more very nice thing about tables which is very important. We just noticed that every table ideally should have two settings. One is repeat header row, at least the first row, and all rows should be set in such a way that they should not break across pages. Unfortunately, this is not a default setting for table. So how do we do? a default kind of table. Right now I'm going to start with a simple regular table, but as soon as I create the table, I'm going to say this row should be header row. You never know, even a small table can break. That's taken care of. Now I'm going to select this whole table and I'm going to go to properties and say never allow any row of this table to break across pages. So now we have applied both the desirable properties to the table. But what's the big deal? When I create a new table, is it going to get these properties? No. How do you make that happen? Select the table, go to insert, table, but we are not really trying to insert a table here. We are trying to say there is something called quick tables. Quick tables are some ready-made tables which Microsoft has created. It contains some calendars and stuff like that. These, if you like, you can use. But what we are more interested in is the last option. Save selection to quick tables gallery. What does this do? Current selection gets saved. It will ask you a name. You can give it a name. You can even create categories and click OK. Now Excel remembers all the attributes of this table. So if I create a new document and I want a table with all those attributes, I am not going to create a regular table. I am not going to insert a table. I am going to go to quick tables. And when you go to quick tables, in that gallery at the bottom, you will see that your table is already listed. When you click on it, you get the settings already applied. So notice breaking of rows is prevented and header row is happening automatically. This is just a reusable version of a blank table. To make this concept more useful to you, think of what kind of documents you create. Identify common type of tables. For example, as a salesperson, you have a table which contains quotation. You may have tables with bill of materials. You may have tables with HR data in it. Whatever it is, try to create a table and save a template like table in quick tables. That will help you reuse complex tables instantly. And finally, we are going to see something about formatting. Very often when we insert some picture in text, this is what happens. There is a wastage of space on either side, and if you type something, this actually moves, which is not what we want. So what do we do in this case? Click on the picture, go to picture tools, choose wrap text and choose square. Now the text will wrap around nicely, and if you want to readjust the picture, it's going to adjust as you want. This is how, if you know these common simple things about Word, your life in Word becomes easier. Thank you.